So the idea is that the prophets had a little, for lack of better terminology, come to Jesus, dream with him.
Yeah, they had a come to Jesus moment with Jesus. Captain's Pod, stardate 250866.5. Yes, I have 12 hours to edit this show. Welcome aboard the Starship Jefferies, and thank you for joining us on our continuing voyages through the final frontier. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she loves being told she looks prettier with her hair down. It's Ambassador Deneé.
It's so strange. Have you ever had people tell you that you look more handsome by doing certain things to your appearance?
Absolutely, 100%.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Have you had someone tell you to smile?
Yeah, I've heard people tell me to cheer up.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worse. There's more loadedness when you say it to a woman, for sure.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you've had it happen too.
I'm also not in a demographic that is massively oppressed. So I think that's the crux of it.
Ha ha, how fun.
Oppression.
Yeah. What were we talking about today?
Star Trek.
Oh, cool.
I was especially happy to open with a commentary on looks because our chat about Space Seed last week had loads of people in the Discord chatting backwards and forwards. I think my unpopular perspective that MacGyver's isn't as horribly written as the community generally thinks had like mixed reviews. I had some people that were like, yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective. Like, don't dismiss her. She's like being victimized by like a powerful person. And rightfully so, a lot of people are like, no, she's still terribly written. And I'm still stuck on this. I don't know if she's a product of terrible writing or very intelligent writing. I don't know, Ambassador.
It could be both.
It could be either. But I do like asking you, how do you feel a week separated from Space Seed? Because it's just like these classic episodes. It's so unfair to get you to watch them and then just talk about them for an hour.
Why is it unfair?
It feels crazy because we've like a lot of the community has had decades with these episodes and we're just like, watch it, talk about it for an hour, no prep.
I think I'm going to forget about MacGyver's. I'll just remember Khan, as you should.
You are very representative of the Star Trek canon. With that, let's head over to this week's episode, which is we're jumping into Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 13. So we are in the penultimate season of Deep Space Nine, Far Beyond the Stars. I always ask this with Deep Space Nine. Do you want to know what's roughly happening around Deep Space Nine at this point in time? Like, with Deep Space Nine being more like a continuing story.
No.
Love that.
No,
Makes my job so much easier.
I continue to just completely jump in out of context. So if you, listener, would like context, I don't know what to do except for just in the next like 4 seconds, I'm going to do my own version of a synopsis. Because I just remembered we were going to do a synopsis.
You did. That's the first time you remembered it before a transition. That's great.
Wow, it's only taken years.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. I do want to say, before we get into it, this was directed by Avery Brooks, who is Captain Sisko. And I always love it when one of the characters step in and do the directing. I always think that's really fun. And I think it's nice for you to know that. Like, I think it's nice for you to know when, like, Jonathan Frakes is directing an episode. It's always, like, kind of fun, I think, for you to know that one of the characters on screen is also doing the directing here. So I think that's really fun.
Yeah, when they go behind the camera.
Yeah, and what's driven them to do that as well. I always love that.
Morbid curiosity. What does it feel like to have this kind of power?
Far Beyond the Stars, any predictions, Ambassador?
All I can think about is Feifel, looking up at the moon, singing to his family. And even though I know how very far apart we are, it helps to think we might be wishing on that same bright star.
So you think...
And then little Feifel's voice breaks. Beneath the pale moonlight.
It's great. It's so good. Let's just do a podcast on An American Tail. So you think this is going to be an interpretation of An American Tail? I want to have that on the record right now. Everybody I think 99% of the people listening to this podcast will have seen Far Beyond the Stars. Deneé is saying this is going to be a reinterpretation of An American Tail, and I just want you to remember that as we watch the episode.
It's the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah,
and I don't know why.
Damning.
Oh boy, that movie really messed me up when I was a kid.
Just you wait for this episode. All right, you don't know messed up yet. All right, Ambassador, let's head over to the holodeck to watch this episode. We'll see you all in 10 forward for a full debrief. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the Replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important thing first, Ambassador, what would you like from the Replicator?
I guess milk from the icebox.
Oh, yeah, just the jar of milk?
Just a big old jug of milk in a nice old glass jug.
Question, do you Americans call it an icebox?
I think in the 50s it was called an icebox.
Okay. Is there a distinction between an icebox and a fridge?
I feel like the OG refrigerators were more just ice in a box, and then they sort of evolved.
Okay. That's good to know, because growing up, I'd watched a lot of cartoons.
I'm sure it was actually a refrigerator.
Yeah. Okay.
In this one. But I think when they're like one big chunky box like that, they were just ice boxes. I don't actually know. I just assume it's called an ice box.
If there's one thing in this episode we need to address, it's that.
Let's get stuck on that.
Yeah, let's do that. I am going to have donuts that are precisely 6 hours old from the Replicator. Okay, Ambassador, give us a synopsis.
Well, I think you summed it up quite well before we came downstairs. What did you say?
I said, let's go be the authorities on racism.
Yes. And we, the two white people, looked at each other, took a deep breath, and walked down the stairs.
All right, let's address this first before we do a synopsis. For anyone who hasn't seen us, we are two white people. And I
think that's probably pretty evident.
That's probably pretty apparent. I've wanted to do this episode for a long time, and I've really wondered how to do it, when to do it, if we should do it. We are first and foremost an entertainment podcast. We don't know what we're talking about. I love Star Trek. Deneé grew up with a little bit of Star Trek and wants to come back to it and get into it more. However, I could not in good conscience do a season on the best episodes of Star Trek in its 60th anniversary and just not do Far Beyond the Stars. So we're going to talk about it today.
We're going to talk about it.
It's an incredible episode.
We're going to talk about it in our perspective. Just like we're not the authority on every single topic, we are ourselves.
Yeah, there's somewhere we're especially not.
We're welcoming you into our conversations and hope that you will go along the journey with us. But yeah, one of the strongest things we can do is point to different Trek fan creators that have discussed this episode through their lens, because we can't fully provide that for ourselves.
What I would do is encourage everybody to go out and deliberately search out a black-led podcast that actually has covered the episode and can give a really insightful perspective on it. I know from personal experience, the Sci-Fi Sisters is a great podcast. They've covered Far Beyond the Stars, and I'd give them a big recommend to do some in-deep coverage on this episode.
Let's jump into our perspective fearlessly. This episode is a interesting way to have an existential crisis at the end. You're going to wonder if your life is real.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wonder if any of Star Trek is real. You're going to wonder if we're all just a dream within a dream, if we are the dreamers of the dream through Ben Sisko. So this guy is a captain of a star station planet thing. Space
station, yes.
And shit's been going sideways. The war apparently is over, but people are still dying. He's really frustrated. His dad is giving him some consoling, and suddenly this crisis begins where he starts to see stuff. And as he steps through a door, he doesn't actually go into the traditional magical chamber.
Holodeck. Holosuite on Deep Space Nine.
Nope. He is essentially kind of transported in his mind into some sort of strange dreamlike state where he experiences a lifetime. So this is a little bit akin to
the inner light.
The inner light in a way.
It was, for some reason, I hadn't made that complete connection until the very end when he's like, how long was I out? And the doctor's like, about 3 minutes. And it felt like a lifetime there. And I'm like, oh, fuck, they inner lighted it again. But it's so good, you don't even connect it to the inner light.
So there's this sort of interesting feeling of going, what's going on? What's real? What's not real for Ben Sisko? But then the episode kicks into fully embracing the 1950s America with Benny Russell?
Benny Russell, yep.
As the main character who works as a writer and is trying to publish a story where a black man is the captain of a space station.
Shock.
But because of racism, he is not encouraged to do so, eventually finds a way to do so, and then is fired for it. And we get to see a lot of scenes from his life, including being beaten by police brutality, a friend being shot for having a crowbar, trying to break into a car, and just kind of a general sense of him trying to find his way and talk about our feelings about all of those kinds of things. We get to see all of the characters from Deep Space Nine without their makeup on.
Yeah, we do.
So that's another kind of fun part of this. And by the end, we're left to kind of wonder if this preacher character that is in the 1950s talking about Ben being a prophet is some, and this is where we have to talk about it because I don't know Deep Space Nine, but I do have like some things, but there's this idea that he has an ability to write something, to bring it to life, to lead the people out. And this show is very much leaning into like stories, help people through hard times, help people to dream, help people to kind of get through, and then twists it on its head that maybe all of Deep Space Nine is just existing inside of Ben's mind.
Or
not.
Ira Stephen Bear's mind.
We don't even know.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to kind of sum up. But
it's a hard one to synopsinize. That's there we go. Lots and a lot of metaphors, lots of layers that I'm excited to talk about. I do just want to hit your prediction really quickly. So this is why I like sadistically laughed when you said an American Tale. Because I'm like, oh, that's fucking dark. You don't realize how dark
it is
that
dark.
is.
Yeah.
Any clarifying questions that you have before we get into your big points?
Well, I do have 3 points, and there are the characters themselves, the racism, and then also the, like I said, the existential crisis that I feel like is sort of placed upon us by the end of kind of wondering. But I know that we need to talk about this prophet thing.
Yes.
So, spoiler alert for Deep Space Nine.
I mean, you're in season 6 now. Spoilers are plenty.
So this character, Ben Sisko, doesn't know that he is like an important being throughout.
Benny Russell or Ben Sisko?
Ben Sisko. He doesn't know.
He does.
He does know.
Episode 1 of Deep Space Nine.
He knows?
He knows. So Ben knows from episode 1 that he is special to these people because the prophets, which is what the Bajorans call the aliens that live in the wormhole, come to him in a vision and say, you are the emissary, you are the chosen one, you're going to save the Bajoran people. So the Bajorans know Ben as the emissary of the prophets, and they mostly accept him as that and are very reverent around him, and he reluctantly accepts it. And by season 6, he's like, I guess this is me now. Like, so many of these prophecies have come true. I am the emissary. I am Bajoran Jesus.
Okay, questions that I have after hearing that. Born just like a normal human dude?
Okay, proper spoilers now. We find out at the very end of Deep Space Nine that the prophets impregnated his mother and made sure that this version of Ben was created and born.
So like a Dune situation.
Well, Dune is more about like generational planning. So it's like if these two people get together, it creates this baby that creates that baby that creates that baby. This is definitely more in the Jesus side of things.
Okay.
Because the prophets experience time all at once.
What a headache.
So, right. So their language is very strange because they don't use tenses. So Sisko is talking about like what will happen, what has happened. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like has happened, will happen. It's all happening at once. So they perceive time just as something that all happened together. So his birth whatever happens in the future, his life has already happened and is happening all at once.
The dreamer of the dream.
Exactly.
So this episode is telegraphing that?
This episode, the core of the metaphor, I think, is the wormhole alien saying, don't you fucking quit. Don't be a quitter, because we need you here to win the war and protect Bajor and all of that stuff. And the simile, the metaphor that they're choosing is, if people like Benny had given up, then the civil rights movement wouldn't have happened and black people wouldn't have a voice today. So if you were Benny, you wouldn't have quit. If you're Cisco, you can't quit. Like, there are better things to come. This pain will also pass, but you have to stick it out.
So the idea is that the prophets had a little, for lack of a better terminology, come to Jesus dream with him.
Yeah, they had a come to Jesus moment with Jesus.
And just said, okay, well, we're going to put you into somebody else's life so that you can get some fucking perspective.
Yeah, and that's your come to Jesus moment.
Listen, if there's anything I can relate to in this episode personally, it is every once in a while being like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. I want to quit. And then something else occurs and you just realize, no, I've got it really fucking good.
And that's it. It's one of those two things. You've got it a lot better than Benny does, because at least you have power. You're in charge. You're in a position to decide the future and to influence it. Benny didn't have that power.
Like, Cisco is the dream of someone like Benny, right? Like,
exactly.
This powerful man that has influence and has respect. And it's just nice to see that represented on Star Trek. I can see why this is a really, really great episode.
I haven't even asked you the question, do you see why it's in the top? Because there's no
100%.
way you can say no. Like, this is it's a lot of people's number one Deep Space Nine. It's a lot of people's number one Star Trek episode. It's obviously Avery Brooks' number one episode, his complete favorite one.
It's literally a reflection of what they're doing in this episode is a reflection of what the writer's room is doing in this episode.
It's incredible. Like, it is, and that's something that is overlooked so much because they don't really hang a lantern on it. The most they come at it is the last few lines where they're like, maybe we're the dream. And it's like, it blows my mind because that is Benjamin Sisko realizing he's in a TV show. It's like the characters are saying, what if we're some person's dream? Like, and Star Trek is, for so many fans, their dream of the future. And it's a character respecting that he's living someone else's dream because Star Trek is a dream for other people. Oh.
And it's likely that maybe some executives didn't want that to be created.
Guarantee it.
And yet it was created. And I think that that's something to really be grateful for. And I guess this kind of is going to go into some of my thoughts on my second point with racism a little bit. We'll probably be jumping around a lot in this one, if you don't mind. What was the first point? The characters themselves, just kind of like the character work. But there are certain things that have happened in my life that have been pretty jarring to, like I said, kind of be put in my place about the privilege that I have. And George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, like kind of that time frame was when it got really deeper for me. And it impacted me so much that I kind of wanted to stop making content at that time. Like, my voice isn't really a voice that's needed. I am other people's voices are more important.
It's hard to talk about like the comedy of suburban life when that shit is happening. Yeah,
exactly. And, you know, part of my job at that time was to create content. And it's all got to be from my own perspective too, but it really humbled me, as it should. And it's just choosing not to look away. And it's choosing to join the conversation as someone who doesn't know as much as you thought you did. And I've told this story before, but, you know, for me, I am born in a Midwest, 99.9% white area. And I've known a handful of Black people in my youth, like when I was growing up. Never really thought anything about them. Like, there wasn't like anything that I was raised to think badly. Like, yeah, I was not raised to have negative thoughts about anybody different, is what I'm trying to say. So to me, I just was like, oh, hey, you know, there was just this casualness. And when I was in my 20s, I got this job, and my little seat partner was this young Black kid, and we would just like joke around, and I'd be like, we look so alike, like we're basically twins. And he would just laugh. That was so funny. Anyways, just one day, we were just jive back and forth. He's like, hey, twin. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, and I'm just really fun. And he was really smart, and we got along really well. We had to go through like this training course together. And one day he was really, really late, and he could get in trouble, and like you get kicked out when you're in training because you have to be really serious about it to be accepted in the company. And I was like, hey, what happened? You know, you can't be late. And he was like, I got pulled over again. And I thought he was kidding. And he's like, no, I got pulled over again. I was like, how many times have you got pulled over? And he said, he just looked at me, and it was this look I'll never forget. Like, oh, sweet summer child.
Oh, you don't know.
And he told me he gets pulled over at least once a week. And I, again, thought he was kidding. And so I was jibing like we usually do and just kind of like ribbing him. And he just kind of like got this weird smirk he had never had before. And I asked him, well, why are you getting pulled over? If you're getting pulled over, why are you getting pulled over? And it was hard, like to look back on it, it breaks my heart because I didn't know. But he said, well, it's not just because I have a nice car. And I said, is it because you're Black? And he goes, yeah. And I said, is that still happening? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, in my city?
Oh.
And he goes, yeah. And it was so confusing to me.
In all of the cities.
Right. So then you fast forward like 20 fucking years, and, you know, then we're getting these larger stories, and there's people that are able to pull out their cell phones and provide like a different level of a look. And you just have to choose not to look away and be broken by it. And that's really when it hit home. And it just like that little story back with this little training thing with my little twin is just the beginning of my little tiny world that I am in. And what I think is super important about this episode is that you don't look away.
That's what it's about.
You know?
Don't watch. It's uncomfortable. Watch it. It should be uncomfortable.
And you watch it, and it might be like oh, that doesn't happen, you know, or, oh, what's the significance in that? I tell you what, I watch this episode now, and I have a completely different perspective than I would have as a young 20-something, that even after talking to my twin, I think I still would have had a hard time absorbing it. Now, yes, there's something to be said about our brains lacking a certain level of development when we're young. But, you know, time has been and continues to be very, very unkind. And I think that this is an important episode, and I don't think that anybody would ever watch this and be like, oh, that wasn't important for the 1990s. Like, it's an important episode today.
It gets more important. And I remember as a kid, like the first time I would have watched this would have been in the early noughts. And I remember thinking very similarly, oh man, thank goodness this doesn't happen anymore. Because I'm a kid or heading into a teenager that doesn't know any better. And I'm like, but I was aware of, because one of the things the English schooling does really well is it teaches a lot about racism and colonialism and a lot of the shit that we've done wrong. And I remember the emphasis kind of being on, we've grown now, we've evolved. And as a kid, I'm like, thank goodness this doesn't happen anymore. Watching it now, it's like, this episode makes sense if you just rerun it every 5 years. Like when the police brutality is happening.
Every 5 months, maybe.
Every 5 months,
I mean, it's really bad.
But when I saw the police brutality stuff, I remember, I was thinking this time round, it's not just since like the George Floyd stuff, because that's when like a light was shined on it and cell phone cameras were shined on it. But the fact that in the 90s, it was crucial to have this police brutality subplot in there as well. And I'm like, it was always there, we just didn't have the cell phones for it. Like, it was like, it has always been a thing.
And let's just be clear, it's just people that don't have my alabaster skin are just having different experiences. And I know from talking with friends over the years and just being willing to ask questions and get uncomfortable, because it's not comfortable to just have your little bubble broken, but it's also really important to not live in denial. And so I do know from conversations that it's not always dire, but it's important to not pretend like everything is just...
There's a different level of being on guard. at all points, which we just don't really have to worry about.
To kind of shift in a little bit more, and listen, this is going to be a bit of an uncomfortable kind of conversation, but I really do want to talk about it too. Like when I watched this episode, I'm like, this is a good one to show Iris someday. Like this is a good one where the injustice is evident in each scene. You've got the injustices at work. You've got some people who are complacent and some people who are vocal and some people whose hands are tied because it's their job. You've got these different kind of dynamics there. You have clear injustice and isolation happening with the police officers who are supposed to be a symbol of protection and community safety. And in that twisted space, they think that's what they're doing. It's still happening. And I think that the unfairness there will, and then obviously the beating is really hard to watch. And it's like when they get to that particular moment, I think that they know they're really pushing the audience in a way that's important but uncomfortable. And so then that's really when they start to flash over to other imagery of him being beaten on Deep Space Nine. And psychologically, we're shifting back into our happy Deep Space Nine place instead of this, oh, we don't want this to be how his life is, But anyway, I think in each of these scenes, there is an opportunity for a conversation about other people's experiences, because when you're a kid, you just think that everybody has your life, just like I used to. And sometimes your bubble is broken. I want that to be something that she's not surprised by. I want her to be informed about different people's experiences. We've already talked about it because she did a whole study on Ella Fitzgerald. And so there's already kind of the beginning parts of just those conversations, but she's also done it on George Washington Carver. So I don't know. This is just kind of one of those episodes when the time comes that she's old enough to sort of start watching Deep Space Nine and appreciate it. I think this would be a good episode to have conversations with. I've
often said one of my favorite things about Star Trek is the same thing that Shakespeare was able to do, which was the allegory stuff. So to get out of trouble, Shakespeare said a lot of stuff in Italy and abroad and stuff. Star Trek gets to set it in space. And I love that, and it has like aliens being racist as a mirror to our society being racist and oppression and things like that. Right. And this episode does the flipping reverse.
Yeah.
It's in space and then uses human life as a metaphor for the alien conflict that's happening. And it's the only time I can really like, it's Star Trek unapologetically just holding a mirror up to racism, like in this really explicit, unapologetic
it's on
way.
the nose. They're not mincing words. They're not making it like, they're making it as easy to take as you can, but it's such a brave thing to do because a lot of times we go to these sorts of spaces. I wasn't trying to make a space pun there, but to escape our difficulties. Yeah. And so when an episode or when a show decides to get real and kind of too real, it doesn't really give you that escape. It gives you a different feeling. And for me, it's educational and it's important and it's a tone that is an important tone. But like this episode, obviously 80% of it is that. Yeah. Like the racism and the injustice is like a dominant part of this episode. Pulling out other parts of it are going to be something that I just naturally do because we talk about it on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that will be like the dominating thing that I'll remember.
Of course.
Apart from, like you said, the story part, like the importance of writing your stories, the importance of following your dreams and those kinds of messages, the relationship that he has with his girl. Those things are things that I will hopefully remember as time goes on, but probably not.
No, it's the most important bit, and I think it's incredible to focus. It's such a good idea to focus it on Sisko and have Avery Brooks direct it because it's a bunch of white people writing this story. Like the bones of it, the story idea came from Mark Scott Zachary, who we interviewed last year as he was releasing his new YouTube series. He pitched the story, and then he had Jake, Sisko's son, being abducted by aliens and then in some kind of like hallucination being this writer trying to get work published. And Ira Stephen Bear and the Deep Space Nine writers took it and said, no, this is going to be a Sisko story. This is what it's going to be about. This is going to be our story to talk about racism. And yeah, it's I mean, are you ready to talk about the final scene, Cisco? Benny's big speech, his big breakdown.
Yeah, we can't not talk about that.
It is incredible.
I'm a person.
Yeah, I'm a person. You can't deny me. I wrote this. They exist. Just that, like, that raw performance, that raw breakdown, like, it's not Benny or Ben. That's Avery Brooks just losing himself completely. So the cast around him weren't ready for that. They were not prepared. And famously, when they called cut, he didn't break character. He was still on the floor in tears for a good amount of time. And the cast just had no idea what to do other than just be there with him. So everything we're seeing is really Avery Brooks just exploding and channeling. And they gave him the stage and just like, he gives it everything. And yeah, the cast were like, it was scary. It was emotional. It was like, they can't believe that they were there to witness it as well.
Yeah.
So watching every time I watch that scene, it's the most pain I think I'll ever see a human be in. And it's fucking Star Trek.
Show?
Sorry?
In a TV show?
In a TV show, yeah. No, I don't like...
Well, just to be transparent, I've had some recent panic attacks.
Yes.
Where I was in a lot of emotional turmoil and having difficulty breathing, and you're like, I am scared. And it reminded me of that. Like,
yeah.
You know, he went to a place where he let himself fully into this fight or flight and fearlessly allowed other people to see it. You know, and that's something that I like to be very private when I'm having a hard time, and just really like go insulated and quiet and into my own space and close and lock the door, have my little breakdown, and then just like come out and put my big girl pants on and then get to work. But I'm learning that's not okay. And watching him do that scene was like, look at him have his people. Like, he collapses back into his crew and they just like are there to catch him. And I was like, that's what it's about. Like, it's about sometimes just letting it all out, letting out the rage and the pain. And you can tell he's not trying to act that. He's just become the wormhole prophet, doing the thing, like showing us and channeling it, knowing that he is that connecting point for the audience. Like, his character is doing what the prophets want Cisco to do for this story. It's what Star Trek wants that character to do for us.
Yeah.
It is just incredible.
The layers are unreal.
It's really, really incredible. So watching him give us all, it's like, yeah, I can give my all too. You know, like, that's cool. And I'm just, you know, I'm an inspired person over here in the Midwest from that.
And I always want to...
It's heartbreaking and horrible, but it was incredible too.
I want to go back and watch it for the first time. Like, I want to watch it broadcast. I want to just like... Because you just know it. Like, DS9 was definitely dark, especially in season 6. Like, the beginning of this episode is dark. Like, Cisco's at his wit's end, and it gets worse from here onwards. Like, the war ends up going like badly before it gets any better. And then to just like compound that darkness with, we're going to take a break from the Dominion War to talk about institutionalized racism in the 50s. Like, I don't know how so many episodes made it to TV, but I'm glad they did. But it's one of like the criticisms I really don't like of this episode is twofold, that it takes a random detour out of the Dominion War to do this. And I'm like, random detour my ass. Like, if you're not going to take the time to break an arc to do a story like this when the opportunity presents itself, because this is when the script was brought to you, why are we even bothering to make TV? Like, this is the important story. And the other one is that it's too on the nose. And I'm like, well, guess what? Maybe it's one of those things that isn't quite on the nose enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know, there is something to be said about it being an important, you know, break from the Dominion War. Like, it is still relevant because you're watching this character that's under an immense amount of pressure have a mental break. And during the 2-minute mental break, a lifetime occurs of obviously all that we're talking about. But then in addition to that, there is this preacher character that is weaving back in the Prophet story. So it is still relevant to Deep Space Nine's
super relevant
overarching story, especially because what it's telling you is that it's going to get worse.
It goes hand in hand.
And then it does get worse. So it's kind of a way for the writers to say, we're not done telling this Dominion story. And this is a break from how bad it's going to be because it's a different style of storytelling. It's a different pace. It's putting all of the characters and even the actors together in a different way, kind of re-solidifying the cast and like their connectivity. It kind of feels like after you go through an episode like this, you're just going to be stronger as a team. But there is a thorough, maybe it's not about the war, but there is a thorough look at the character of Sisko not being able to just withstand and just shut it all out. Like his mental break, that was basically him going into the closet and having a little mentee bee and then putting his big boy pants on and going back out. Like he just shut the door and had a little dream.
Yeah, Sisko was minutes away from that being him, like just the breakdown, like lose one more friend and that's going to do it to you.
And it was still real for him and he still experienced it. We got to see it and nobody else got to see it. But it was just like a nice, and nice is a strange word to use, but it's a nice pace shift, I would imagine, from a lot of the intensity of a war show to not only look at the importance of your mental health while having a lot of responsibility, but then how do you do that? Take a break and still weave in this whole prophet thing, you know, or not prophet, but like his emissary, his dreamer of the dream kind of a reality. I have another question about Sisko's character, if this isn't a good time to ask it.
Yeah.
So speaking of the preacher kind of persona in this dream, there's like this indication that his reality is what's making the reality happen. His idea becomes the truth and carries forward. Is that actually like a power that Sisko has? Or is it more just sort of a nod to him being the fulfiller of the prophecies?
Yeah, that's really interesting because we do find out that Benny Russell exists, weirdly.
Oh, interesting.
So in universe, Benny Russell is an author because there are books that appear in other shows authored by Benny Russell. So, and it's interesting, like with the prophets, the wormhole aliens experiencing time all at once, did they influence Benny Russell? Sadly, spoiler alert, Benny Russell ends up in what at the time you'd call an insane asylum. Oh. He doesn't have a particularly good time after this. We do revisit him one more time. So it's hard to know where the meddling of the prophets start and where our universe writer's room ends and how much meddling they want to do. But no, that's not a power. It's more that, and this is something Benjamin really struggles with, and the books, I know the books don't matter, but the books delve into it a bit more as well with this free will preordained thing. Like, what am I doing if all of this is laid out? Like the wormhole aliens have seen my start, my middle, and my end.
What does it matter?
What does it matter then? My story's already told.
I grew up in the church. I understand your pain.
But to have that, like, he gets sucked out and put into visions multiple times. They reference it at the beginning of the episode when it says last year you had to have surgery. That was because of a big vision quest thing. And to have the aliens say, like, we already know what you're going to do. We know how this ends. We just need you to do it. It's the most frustrating moment. And I feel it whenever Sisko is faced with that. It's like, yeah, that's easy for you to fucking say, guys. I know you know I'm going to do it, but I still have to do it right now in the moment. And how do I know the thing that I'm doing is the thing I'm supposed to do? Like, brain just in a pretzel with that stuff. So you ask a great question that's impossible to answer.
Kind of feels like Benny and Sisko are either side of a sand timer.
Yes.
Like they're connected somehow and they're both doing their thing and it's just kind of this back and forth
I think,
maybe.
Like temporal mirror is a good way to think of it because they do the reflection thing a lot in this episode where Benji will look in the window and see Sisko and vice versa. It's like a temporal mirror sort of thing. Like one person is living a similar journey to the other person in the past.
Like there's this one period of time that lasts 2 minutes for Sisko, but months for Benny where they actually are sharing a brain.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could well believe the prophets
kind of did like a little merger moment.
Yeah, but the prophets like observe however they observe things. They observe that Benjamin is having a crisis of faith. And it's like, well, shit, we've got to go back in time. We've got to make sure that Benny is born because Benny is going to be the perfect conduit to show Benjamin that he should continue. Like, and that's the level of their power. Like,
I see.
And if they're not just seeing all of Cisco's life at once, they're seeing all of time all at once. It's not too hard for them to just make Benny exist in the 1950s.
How does Guinan feel about the prophets?
Oh, I wish. Like, you ask fantastic questions. That would be great.
I would feel like she would be kind of annoyed with them, like Q. Like, stop trying to make your shit happen.
Yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing. It's more like, I think a good way to think about it is Loki and the Sacred Timeline. So it's not that they're making their thing happen. They're just protecting the sacred timeline that they know happens.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I loved that show, by the way.
Fucking
just
so
like a little
good. Yeah.
sidebar. I think about that show
So much.
more than I think about a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Which is so fun to say because I just really enjoyed that show.
It's so, season 1 and season 2, I think, are incredible.
Anyway, back to Cisco.
Yeah, back to Cisco. You ask incredible questions like Q, the wormhole aliens, the Elorians, Guinan and Soren. What did that think
They all go to
tank,
lunch.
They all go to lunch. Put me in that room.
Yeah.
They
Captain
write Star
Kitty?
Trek. Huh?
Are you talking about Captain Kitty?
Captain Kitty? No. She's a shit. Their species lives for a long time, but I've forgotten their name.
But they don't sense the timey-wiminess.
No. They're just very long-lived.
By the way, in case you didn't listen to our Starfleet Academy,
oh God,
Captain Kitty is not an actual character's name.
Captain Akay from Starfleet Academy.
I'm okay with kind of shifting out of the 80%, 90%, like the dominant part of that episode for me, but I do want to also talk about just like the time period too.
Yeah.
So is there anything else specifically about like the injustice and all of that you want to touch on?
There's one more bit that we didn't mention, and it's the police characters in particular. Did you notice who they were during the flashes?
No,
They're
I
harder to pick
assumed
out.
that everybody is somebody, and
Yes.
was one of them the sneaky weaky guy?
No, that would be too dark because Garrick is our man.
Is Garrick
is our boy.
Is
He
Garrick
is a Cardassian.
the artist?
No, that's Martok. So he's you recognize the voice though. He plays a big burly Klingon.
Okay.
And he actually appears in Lower Decks as the dungeon master of the video game.
Yes.
So J.G. Hertzlinger, I can never get his name right, but his voice is just one of the most recognizable.
So who were the police officers?
So the police officers were Mark Alemo, who was like the head police officer. He's Dukat, who is the lead Cardassian in Deep Space Nine. So not Garrick R. Taylor, the spy, but he's the evil Cardassian that's leading the Cardassian people through the war. So he's the biggest antagonist that is Cisco's big archenemy. And then his number 2 is Jeffrey Combs, who is Wayoon, and he plays the representative of the Dominion. So their team up is the Cardassians and the Dominion teaming up and representing like their invasion force and the big enemies of Deep Space Nine. That's why they represent the cops in this episode.
Interesting.
And they flash and we see those characters in the full makeup beating him up as we flash backwards and forwards. Yeah, if you want to do the time period and
just a little bit
before
absolutely. We kind of shift on, because I know it's obviously in a period of time that's not very far removed from civil rights, and there's still a lot of work to be done, and we talked about the work that still needs to be done today in 2026, but it is really fun to go back into certain time periods and just remember what things were like. The diner, going to the theater, these kind of the cars, the newspaper boy that was the Ferengi.
Oh, I was so I shouldn't underestimate you, but I was so proud of you. You just went, is that the Ferengi? And it's Nog. It's Nog.
That's his name.
Yep.
Yeah.
They squeezed him in there.
And then the writer's room, like just them talking about the different kinds of things. And I do want to talk about the characters and the writing room and everything specifically.
And what they all represent as well.
Yeah, because I feel like that to me is like the highlight of this episode. I know that it's heavy on the points of racism, but I also feel like even there's even an argument for a bigger conversation about the creative, like the death of creativity and going crazy. But anyway,
yeah.
But being in this time frame was kind of fun. Like I really enjoyed the diner scenes. I really enjoyed all the characters kind of coming in, the doo-wop girls that are kind of walking down the street, and Benny is kind of singing. Just like the timepiece, the sets were really fun.
Incredible.
Like, this had to be an expensive episode to produce, I would assume, because it was a set. Like they had their own little apartment set with like the little bay window. They had exterior shots.
So much of it is filmed at like the Paramount studio.
Sure,
it wasn't called the Paramount Studios back then,
of course, but it's still like
recycling stuff.
Get out! We need 25 cars from the 50s.
Yeah, we need the 50s now.
Yeah. And then there's just the props department just shows up with like wagons of options.
Were you in another holodeck episode?
Kinda, but no. The cigarette smoking and all that. I don't know. I had a good time kind of being in that period of time. I wouldn't want to live in that period of time.
No.
Because as this episode also points out, women didn't have the same rights either. No. So I do like the era that I live in.
Yes, in many ways. But, it's great. I think the attention to detail. It's clearly a segregated cafe as well, a diner, sorry. And it's just the attention to detail, like throughout making it a period piece. There's always that extra level of difficulty. And it is that paired with having our entire cast out of makeup.
Yeah.
Just when you think like the stuff this episode is obviously doing about race is so important. And you can almost be apologized for being like, is it going to detract from that if we also have everybody focusing on how cool it is to see Odo not be in makeup, Quark out of makeup, flipping Worf out of makeup?
This episode,
but they still did it, and it's such a great thing to do.
It's so important so that you know who you're looking for at the conventions.
Yes.
Without this episode, we would be so confused.
Yes. That's what it is. And I love that it's such a good line when because it works in two ways, but they mentioned that they want to do a photo piece because apparently the readers want to know who's writing the stories, which importantly tells you that Benny has to stay home. And it's so clever because the three people that aren't going to be there are the white privileged man who doesn't want his photo taken because he just can't be bothered. And then the two people that would love to have their photos taken, Benny and Casey Hunter, played by Kira, played by Nana Visitor.
Yeah, played by.
The two people that want their photos taken then can't. Like that trio of the white man, the black man, and the woman, and how each one treats that photo op is so clever. And she says, apparently our readers want to know what we look like. And it's the same thing for like the fans of Star Trek. We want to know what Worf especially looks like without everything on, and it's the only episode where Michael Dorn is out of all prosthetics. There's one other episode where he doesn't play a Klingon, where he plays Worf, but he plays a different alien, but they still completely cover his head and he has a big nose ridge. So even in that episode in TNG, you don't see Michael Dorn. This is the only episode where we see
it's great
friggin' Michael Dorn's handsome, fucking beautiful face.
When he comes into the screen,
it's not fair.
It really feels like it's a 3D movie. Like he just appears and you're like, whoa.
Holy shit.
He's taking up all of the screen.
How do you block that man?
Like I didn't realize how dominant of a presence he is.
Yeah.
Like he obviously is in prosthetics, but he is a
big ass man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a unit. And he drops the Worf voice as well, which I always forget isn't actually Michael Dorn's voice. That man, he is constantly doing a different voice. Like he is lowering it down so much. And then he gets to be like happy-go-lucky, like 7 octaves higher. And he's one of the absolute highlights. Is seeing Michael Dorn get to be Michael Dorn. And I just imagine him being like, I didn't have to sit in the makeup chair for 6 hours.
It was also interesting not being a Deep Space Nine watcher. I have some experiences with the characters, obviously Worf. I remember Quark and I remember Odo a bit. And I feel like some of the people were able to play a character that was very different than their own character in Deep Space Nine and get to play around a bit. Like the Sun, for example, he seems very inline sort of Sun character and what the brief times I've seen Cisco
very different from this character.
In this one, he's like the hustler. He's in the streets, selling the watches and stuff. So they're kind of playing on it. But then they do something with Quark, for example, where Quark says the uncomfortable stuff. And in this episode, he says what we're thinking about the bullshit of Benny not being able to be published and the cowardice. And so there's an interesting use of characters that we are both comfortable being in those uncomfortable roles, and then characters that we're comfortable with that go into an uncomfortable one. So they're really playing around and it's not consistent. And I thought that was really interesting.
I think that Quark is about the only one that's inconsistent. And I could still make...
Oh, that's weird. Because I'm not the Deep Space Nine watcher.
I'm going to preach on it. And Quark is the one I really want to get my head around, because Quark is a self-preservationist at his heart.
Right.
Like, it's not that he's neutral... What would it be? Neutral, selfish.
Chaotic neutral?
I don't even know if it's chaotic, but he's just neutral. Like,
I think he's neutral.
Whatever's going to get him that moon that he wants to buy. Rom is the one that kind of pushes forward, like Quark's younger brother. He kind of like pushes forward some like social justice stuff. So Quark is the one that stands out, but it's smart to pair him with Odo. When did you spot that it was Odo out of makeup? Because he's probably a trickier one to spot as well.
No, Odo I got pretty quickly.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
It was not difficult for me to spot
the
Ferengi, Odo, and obviously Worf
would be about the only other one.
Anyone who barely has any, prosthetics on their face.
Yeah.
The ones that were harder, I think, were just the police.
Yeah, and Martok. The police officers and Martok, yes. That makes sense. I think it's mainly to pair him with Odo, because Odo and Quark are always
at odds,
like working for the same people, but they're at odds. So they're always like, and even if they agree with each other, they're going to pick opposite sides of the argument. Do
you feel like it would have been more on brand for Deep Space Nine to have Odo being Quark's character and Quark being the editor?
No, Odo's the best choice. Okay. And here's what, like, Odo is chef's kiss for this character. And it may not seem like it because Odo is like justice and holding up the law. Odo is holding up the laws that are given to him.
Right. Because he's the employee.
Odo is the constable under the Cardassians as well. So when the Cardassians built Deep Space Nine, it's a Cardassian space station. Odo is in charge. So he has to oversee the Bajorans being enslaved, being used as labor, being used as, well, not prostitutes, being raped, and just being attacked. And he has to uphold the law that the Cardassians put down. And then when the Cardassians get kicked out and replaced with Starfleet, he upholds Starfleet's law. So this is exactly what the editor is doing. He's not the owner of the magazine. He is laying down the law of the owner. So he's like, I don't care if you write your stories, but I know that right now the law won't let me do that. The owner of the space station that is this magazine will not let me publish your stories. That's why Odo is such a inspired choice to be the editor, even though he's meant to be like our good guy. Historically, he's a problematic good guy because he was also the good guy for the Cardassians as well, so he's also during neutral. The occupation. So he is lawful neutral.
Yeah.
I just think it's absolutely genius. I love that.
But they do play around with the other characters, even the Trill lady.
No, they don't. Well, no, I mean, they do, but it's a commentary on how Terry Farrell is the pretty one. So the big attraction is, look at this beautiful model that we have. And that's kind of like a nod to female casting in Star Trek sometimes being like stunt casting, like Jerry Ryan, and how the pretty woman on Star Trek can be belittled as the pretty woman. So that's why she's this ditzy secretary that's like, oh, she's got a worm in her belly, that's gross. So no, that's not Jadzia's character at all. But I think I kind of take it as the worst representation that Star Trek gave to women sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just talking mostly about how the characters from Deep Space Nine are not...
Yeah.
They're not used the same. Like when we're transporting them into the 50s, there's not a consistency on how they're using every character, is my point.
No, correct. Yeah, you're right. I do like how Kira is still like at the forefront of a different... not really at the forefront, but she's heading up a different resistance. So instead of like leading the Bajoran resistance, she's heading up like the female resistance. Like she's still one of these oppressed people as well. So yeah, anyway, I think that's super duper clever in this episode. Quark's just there to piss off Odo. O'Brien just likes machines. He just likes robots. Just a story about robots and white privilege. And it's just great how he talks. He's the least articulate man, and yet all of his stories are the ones that are getting published and getting the limelight.
Yeah, he's fumbling upwards just by being there.
Just by existing. Anything else about the characters, Ambassador?
Yeah, I think this is a good time to kind of talk about like what the scenes of these sort of spoke to, and I mentioned it earlier, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I really did have a good time chewing on what this episode was saying to me, which was this idea that you have, honestly, this would be like a dream job for me, just to have an artist hand me a picture and say, write something about this.
Isn't that great?
We do this all the time. We'll take an episode and be like, let's write a new thing here. This is, I'm that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself wanting to be in that room with them, thinking about the career, et cetera, et cetera. So not only did I want to be in the room, but then I also kind of got caught up in like what was going to be happening with this group. Were they all going to quit in solidarity? Were they all like, what was going to happen? And that didn't occur, which genuinely bummed me out a bit. Maybe that's just too much of a stretch. Maybe that's taking it too much into fantasy, but
I think it would have been too much white savior. I think you've got to let it like stand as a miserable end to Benny to inspire Cisco rather than fixing it in the 50s.
Yeah, like seeing where the episode was taking it, it makes sense. But like in the moment, I'm like, fucking quit. All of you guys just quit.
Yeah.
But when we get to the breakdown, like they're supportive of it. They're all reading the story and they're just entranced. And then there's the letdown that it won't be printed. And then there's this sort of brainstorm about how you could potentially make it work. And then it gets in, but then it doesn't actually get in. And there's the down part again. And when Cisco kind of has this breakdown, he does say, I'm a person. But the majority of what he's saying when he has his breakdown is about the importance of the vision of what he's seeing for the story. Like, I can see them and they're real and this is important to me. Like, so he's a visionary who is almost reduced to this crazy person by the end. And as a creative person who has worked with other creatives and with corporations who don't always understand the visionary, it is very difficult to explain to some people what your vision is. And I'll never forget working in like the radio station and them telling my radio partner and I, we had launched a podcast and it was like back when podcasting wasn't known. And so we were top of the charts on Apple iTunes, which is insane. Like if that's happening these days, you don't have to work for anybody else. And the radio station said that we had to stop doing it because we were talking about our thoughts on topics that didn't align with the station. One of them in particular is me being okay with LGBTQIA. And at the time, I wouldn't even talk about my own personal assignment in that spectrum.
Yeah.
I was just talking about how important it is to be a support and a voice, right? I was talking about my aunts. I was just sharing my own opinion about how hard it is for me to be in a group of people who are just isolating. And we were told, stop making this podcast or you're fired. And having to kind of stand in front of these people going, it doesn't matter how much I try to help you understand why this is important. I just have to either play your game or I have to walk and play mine. And if you walk and play your own game, you're seen as cuckoo because you're not, and also not a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're working for yourself, trying to make your coin on your own little podcast, when that's not a thing that anybody knows about. You know, that's close to 15 years ago. So it's long enough now that now everybody knows what a podcast is. So had we stayed with it, and we did, we did it on our own terms, but we didn't have the same audience that we did before. And, you know, we kind of did our own thing for a while, and it felt good to eventually find our way outside and out from underneath that. So I don't know. I really resonated with that story in this particular episode because I felt the pain of seeing a vision, and it doesn't matter how much you break in front of these people.
Oh, no.
It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And my first major panic attack happened after the podcast was canceled, when all of me wants to be seen, known, accepted, and supported. and I'm being rejected, misclassified, misunderstood, and cast out. And there's nothing I can do about it, but just accept it. It is so hard. So while I can't relate to some of this episode, I really related to the pain of that in particular. But the truth is that visionaries are extremely important. Finding how you can share your visions are really important. I've gone quiet for a long time. Like I said earlier, like I really got quiet during George Floyd and Beyonce. That hasn't really stopped. Like this podcast is kind of my first thing that I've done consistently since then. And I feel my voice coming back, and I feel, my perspective coming back, and I'm starting to talk to groups again and kind of feel that like visionary come alive inside of me that wants to inspire and kind of enhance and give something. And that it's not something that everybody just has. And it doesn't make me special in a way that like sets me apart in a way where I'm like elevated by the prophets in a wormhole, but it's still an important message. I think when I think about this episode, I wonder if I'll just watch that preacher looking at me going, you need to write it. Yeah. You need to do your thing. Yeah. Like, you need to do it no matter what.
Everyone has a role to play.
Even if it means you're standing up your girl, like go write your stuff.
Yeah.
Go write it until you fall asleep, And I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, completely agree. It is crushing to be told, yeah, you can be creative in this very specific way.
Yes, but when you work for someone else, that's it. Like when you work for someone else, you can. Yeah. And let's talk about that just real quickly before. And I think I've kind of hit all of my major points. And so whatever you want to talk about next, but this is the important thing, okay?
Get it.
And I need your help with this.
Okay. Love helping you with Star Trek.
This is about math.
Don't love helping you with math.
In this episode,
yeah,
Benny is making 3 cents per word.
For that story.
Yeah. Calculate with me what we should be making per word for what we write.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to do that.
I think we do. Because here's the crazy thing is when you think about the importance of visionaries and writers and people who can write stories or write comedy
I can do some math.
Do what we do and what we have been doing for years. It's crazy how like right now it feels, just to be honest with you guys, it feels very shaky. And here's the reality. We are being scrutinized for our art all the time. That's not anything new for what we've been doing. But it's at the level where it's like, is it even worth this or this? And there's just these questions that come up. And I'm just like, if Benny is making 3 cents per word, that was in 1960?
1950.
Is it 1950?
It's the 50s, yeah. I'd say 55.
Okay. Let me just recalculate here. What is inflation from 1955 to 2026%? Okay, so the cumulative inflation rate is 1,142.61%.
Okay.
So
what's that word? What was it again?
The cumulative inflation rate.
Yeah.
It's 1,142.61%.
Okay.
So I think we should take 0.03, multiply it by this number, and that's how much per word we should be making.
So 10 would be 30, 100 would be 3, 1,000 would be $30. So $30 a word.
Just imagine it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, I'm doing the math on what I work out. I won't give you all of the numbers so you can't reverse engineer too much, but
you're going to take like a script that you've recently written, for example.
I know what I'm
do
pretty
a word
consistent.
Count on it.
Yeah.
And then figure out how much you think you should make.
Yeah, I already word count my stuff. I know what I write every week. I write about 312,000 words a year.
Okay.
That's on the conservative side. That is just cinema sins. That is no other ancillary writing.
Do 350,000.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
This is crazy.
Okay. It's a lot less than that, Deneé. No, what I get paid less than Benny.
I'm just saying, how much did you say it was per word?
For what? For Benny?
Mm-hmm. With inflation, 3 cents on today's dollars.
Oh, $30 a word.
Okay. So then 350,000 words per year times $30 per word is 10,500,000.
But Benny wouldn't get paid to write 350,000 words a year.
We can calculate how much that. Well, we don't know how many words it was.
We don't know how many words the thing was. Yeah.
It was just a fun thing. So
and that's only one story a month as well. So he's getting 3 cents a story once a month.
3 cents a word.
3 cents a word
in
for
a
one
short story
per month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still pretty good money.
It
That's
was for
why
that
he was
month.
excited.
That's why they went out and celebrated, because if you can get that every month, then that's great.
I mean, everything went to shit after that, but still.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine?
But the squeeze is like
10,500,000?
it is crazy how, to stay on the creative thing, because that is our ballpark. The creative squeeze has been there since people started monetizing creativity, and it is more often than not to fund the people who aren't making the art, and it is squeezing time. And we can't just do art for the sake of art. It has to do something. It's one of the big arguments against making your hobby your job, because then you depend on it and that can stifle the creativity. But also, good luck having all of those luxuries as well. So yeah, complicated stuff. So many angles in this one. Anything else, Ambassador?
No, like I said, just kind of figuring out how much money was kind of my last thought there, to end on a just purely silly note.
Capitalism. No, I think you covered it all. I think we've gone over everything I wanted to cover. I really do just want to hit again that I love how clever this episode is in making it about writing Star Trek as well as a story about racism and abuses and not having the not giving everybody an equal voice. And yeah, it's a bold episode. It's incredible. It gave Avery Brooks room to breathe in all of the right places. And yeah, it is a no-brainer why it's at the top of so many best of lists. Oh, and once again, I encourage you to listen to all of the diverse voice-led podcasts. Go out and do some research and listen to some different voices that aren't your own. Is a good tip. Forever and always.
Yes. And thank you for listening to this episode and for being along for the ride.
How many pips, Ambassador?
All the pips.
Yep, 4 pips. No brainer. Come on. Come on. All right, next week's episode. There's no real episode to have next that wouldn't be a massive shift in tone. So I've decided to do the Voyager representation. Sadly, not a lot of Voyager makes the top 20, top 10 lists on any website, but there are a few that do. The Year of Hell two-parter is one of them, but we've already covered it. The other one that consistently turns up is Season 6, Episode 12, Blink of an Eye. This is one of my favourite Voyager episodes.
Blink, blink, blink.
It's going to be so much fun.
Blink, blink, blink.
But yes,
Blink, blink, blink.
we want to have your messages, emails, all of your feedback, all of your thoughts about this episode. Send it to Ian and Deneé at gmail.com. Join our lovely Discord, where I've seen more conversation in this season than any other season from a lot of different voices. Love this. Not really surprising considering we're hitting some big episodes. You're getting more support every week for your inner light dislike.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So many people are like, it's kind of a boring episode. Great idea, but kind of dull.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
You're starting a little insurgency. I don't know if I'm here for it. But anyway, until next week, thank you for listening. I'm Captain Ian, and maybe we are the dream.
And it's Cisco breaking the fourth wall for me.
Nice. Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for assimilating this episode of Captain's Pod. Leave us a review wherever you listen to your pods. And don't forget, our hailing frequencies are always open at iananddeneé@gmail.com. And then I think I'm just supposed to close this hailing frequency by pressing this little button. Okay, we're out!
I don't know if I just stepped in something wet or cold.
Oh boy. Well, do you want to know?
I mean, if it's cold, that's best case scenario, right? Just a cold sensation on my foot.
But also liquid?
No, just cold, not wet. Yeah.
Did you step on the tile?
No.
That's concerning because we are on a carpet.
Yeah, so then if it's wet,
yeah,
it's either urine or drool.
Right.
From a dog, not one of us.
Because it can't be like spilled tea.
It's not spilled tea, but it could be spilled water. Okay. My brain did go to worst case scenario then. I do have some water here that I could have spilled.
Yes, maybe, you know what, can we just say that's what it is?
At what point does spilled water from your mouth become drool? Isn't drool just water from your mouth?
I think DNA is the answer. I think if it
that's fair.
contains DNA.
Okay, here we go. It's the bottom mouthful of the bottle of water.
Okay.
The water bottle.
So you're drinking drool.
It's now mostly like there's some of my DNA is in there because I've been drinking it all day.
Yeah. And isn't that really any drink you drink, as you drink it becomes more and more of you.
I don't know why we aren't nominated for more awards for this podcast.
So I had to look at Dio's little wound and
I don't want to talk about it.
his scratch, I should say.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's not really a wound, is it? Because it has no broken skin.
So at what point is it a wound?
Right, that's my question. Since this is a scientific podcast.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a wound. Anything that breaks, any malady upon your skin, I think is a wound. A mole is not a wound. But I think
because you wouldn't
that like
categorize it
you,
as a
yeah.
Let's see.
That's a wound. It made contact with him.
No, an injury that breaks the skin. It has to break the
skin.
It scraped his skin.
It
is a bad scrape.
You know how many like layers of skin we have?
Yeah.
I think he has literally one layer between blood and skin.
An injury that breaks the skin or other body tissues, disrupting the body's normal cellular and anatomical continuum, can be caused by physical trauma, violent surgery, or underlying medical conditions like poor circulation.
So you would be saying then, by your definition, that a bruise is not a wound.
No, it is now.
Oh, so your definition changes?
Poor condition. Underlining poor condition.
How dare you change your opinion based on facts? He has a wound. Whatever you want to call that. He has like this streak down his flank.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like he's been branded in a long line.
Yes.
Because he literally just scraped all this fur off down to his skin, but it didn't like really go into it. And when I think of wound, I think of like goopy grossness, like deep, pussy, nasty sort
of.
Not
pussy.
Thing. Like festering.
No.
You can smell it.
When I saw him, I was like, oh, he's wounded. Like it was so obvious he had a wound.
I don't know why we don't have more awards being won for our podcast.
Yeah, I agree. But no, I've often been told that when I was young, not so much now because detours, men in their 30s have it probably the easiest of any single demographic. They're making broad sweeping statements here, but I think we have it pretty easy. But when I was in my teens and early 20s, I was often told just to shave. Like, you look better clean shaven. Like, shave the beard, just shave. And then when you shave, you look 12.
Across the board, just a lot of opinions being shared without thought.
Yeah.
On the list of things I do want to be told about, hair down isn't one of them. Food in teeth is.
Absolutely, yeah. You would
just let me know.
Even then, there's a way to say it. It's the way to say it isn't. You would look better if you didn't have broccoli in your teeth.
Just like if you think that someone's hair looks better down, there's a way to say that too. Which is not.
Just don't say it.
Unless you've been told explicitly. Like, for example, my mom, who I now know listens to this podcast, she has told me on multiple occasions, Deneé, do not let me cut my hair. So this is important information.
Good. Then that's good. But she also has sacred choice. She could change her mind.
Absolutely. So whenever she's like, I'm going to go get my hair cut, I grab her and squeeze her cheeks and make very uncomfortable eye contact. Yes, face cheeks. Who are you? And I look her in the eye and I say, don't cut your hair because you hate how you look. And then I have to listen to you hate how you look for a very long time because our hair grows very slow because we don't have fast hair growing DNA. And she says,
thank you for reminding me, get your hands off of my face.
Oh, because you've squished her face.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, same season as In the Pale Moonlight. So a few episodes from now, they do the Cisco talking to camera episode.
Oh, shit.
Fuck me.
Wow, what are we doing, guys?
What a few weeks to be watching Star Trek.
What are we doing, guys?
Hey, Deneé.
Before we get into the show, I have an important question to ask you. And this is going to come up in the show too, but I've got to ask you right now because it involves some maths.
I love math questions.
Okay, can you multiply 0.03 by 1025.07%?
No, but what? That's not a question that makes sense.
Yeah, like what I'm trying to deduce.
You can't divide by a percentage.
No, I said multiply. Like I want to know
You want 1,000% of
Of
0.03.
0.03
0.03. So
times. Would I just if I want to times it by a percentage?
yes.
Would I just times it by 1,025.07%?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I was complicating that way more than I needed to.
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready to start the show.
Excellent.